Judge William Benjamin McClure was born November 24, 1854, in East Lauderdale County, Alabama. He died Tuesday, January 9, 1900. Judge McClure was a son of James I. McClure and his wife Elizabeth Smithson. Judge McClure was married to a woman named Charlotte Lenora, who was born in 1855 and died in March of 1926 in Florence, Alabama. Before entering county politics, Judge William B. McClure taught school for 9 years. While thus engaged, he was elected a Justice of the Peace from the Lexington beat in northeast Lauderdale County. Then he was elected county tax assessor, serving 2 terms. Judge McClure was elected to the Orphans or Probate Court in 1892. By virtue of this office, he was also chairman of the Board of County Commissioners. Upon his election to the probate court, Judge McClure moved his family from their farm near Lexington to Florence. Commenting on Judge McClure, in October of 1897, the Florence Herald stated, quote, "He, the judge, has always been a just judge, giving to every man his rights and dues, and discharging the duties of his office without fear and without favor. As custodian of all the records of the county, he has been painstaking and careful. By virtue of his office, he is chairman of the Board of Commissioners and judge of the Orphans Court, a sacred trust which he has filled with perfect satisfaction," unquote. Not everyone was completely satisfied with McClure's discharge of his duties, however, as the Florence Standard-Journal reported in its Friday, March 11, 1898, summary of cases in the circuit court, that the case of Austin Ingram versus William B. McClure, quote, "attracted more attention than any other case tried this week," unquote. Austin Ingram alleged that Judge McClure issued a marriage license to his underage daughter without Mr. Ingram's consent. The paper reported that Mr. Ingram sought the statutory penalty of $200. Before the case went to the jury, the plaintiff took a non-suit with a bill of exceptions. In July of 1898, a rumor began circulating that Judge McClure was guilty of public intoxication, charges he roundly denied. Judge McClure wrote a letter to Editor Bunting of the Florence Herald proclaiming his total abstinence from alcohol, further stating, quote, "Now I will say to all those who may feel an interest in me that I do not censure all persons who may have spoken of having heard these charges, but I do most emphatically, without fear of successful contradiction, denounce all such reports as infamous, low-down falsehoods," unquote. The night of Thursday, March 31st, 1899, Judge McClure was riding back to Florence from his farmland on Jones Island in the Tennessee River. At a point somewhere near African-American resident Richard Hawkins's place on the Huntsville Road, Judge McClure was attacked by some person or persons unknown. He thought there were 2, and 3 or 4 shots were fired at him, one of them, quote, cutting a flesh wound from the cheek and passing through the ear. Another shot cut through the crown of his hat, unquote. McClure got Mr. Hawkins to take him home where his wound was examined and found to be not dangerous and then dressed. Word of the attack was not revealed until the following Wednesday, according to the Florence Times, quote, "in order to watch developments as to the identity of the man or men who did the shooting," unquote. Florence's intrepid chief of police, Samuel W. Lipscomb, personally investigated the case, but nothing tangible was discovered, and the identity of McClure's mysterious assailant or assailants was never discovered, unquote. The Tuscumbia, Alabama Weekly Dispatch of Thursday, January 11, 1900, carried the headline, quote, "Assassinated. Judge McClure of Florence shot and killed on one of the principal streets while riding home," unquote. In its article, the paper stated, quote, "News of the assassination of Judge McClure, one of the best known and most prominent citizens of our sister city, Florence, in Lauderdale County, reached our city Wednesday morning. The information, as learned over the telephone, stated that about 11:30 o'clock Tuesday night, Judge McClure left the city on horseback for his home a distance of a mile away. When a short distance from the business portion of the town and on one of the principal thoroughfares, he was shot and supposedly instantly killed by a pistol shot in the hand of an unknown party. Residents along the streets heard the shot and in a few seconds heard the horse gallop away. No one thought serious of the incident, but on awakening the next morning and learning that Judge McClure had been assassinated and riding calling distance, they were horrified. Many suppositions have been advanced as to the cause of this murder, but as to the positive cause, it is not known and may never be. Marshall Gibson of this city, or Tuscumbia, was telephoned for and carried his bloodhounds over the following morning, but as we go to press, we cannot learn any of the particulars, unquote. According to the Florence Times of January 12th, Judge McClure's body was found early Wednesday morning, lying in the middle of Market Street near the intersection of Military Avenue, which is now the southern half of Wood Avenue and Hermitage. The body was found face down, having lain where it fell from about 11:30 or 11:40 p.m. till sunrise. Quote-unquote reliable sources later testified that Judge McClure mounted his horse at the Presbyterian Female Synodical College, which is now the Federal Post Office building, in the company of Messrs. John C. Thigpen of Center Star and J.T. McPeters of Lexington. The body was discovered by John W. Hall's African-American cook, Miss Nancy Simpson, who related the news to Leon Jolly and Joseph Beckman, who were coming down Market Street. These two men recognized the victim as Judge McClure and noted his umbrella lying a few yards south in the direction he was riding and his hat near his head in the road. Soon after, Justice of the Peace Henry D. Smith, Esquire, convened a coroner's inquest composed of W.L. Reed, G.M. Haraway, prominent Jewish merchant Mark Reisman, J.T. Walston, J.F. Abernathy, William Ragsdale, and Dr. J.W. Kernahan. After examining the body in the street, they adjourned to the sheriff's office to interview witnesses. The coroner's inquest reconvened Thursday morning. Though several residents were awakened by the unusually loud sound of the gunshot, they paid little attention to it. Upon examining the wound at the McClure home, Doctors Watson, Price, and Kernahan determined that it was caused by a shotgun, a load of 11 buckshot entering the judge's back, and 9 passing entirely through the body. The diameter of the shot was said to be about 12 or 15 inches in diameter, ranging from the small of the back of the shoulder blade, ranging from the small of the back to the shoulder blades. It was a very heavy charge of powder and lead, and was determined to have caused almost instant death. At about 11 o'clock, Marshall Gibson's of Tuscumbia bloodhounds arrived and proceeded from the scene of the murder out Military Avenue to Nellie Avenue, then to Wood Avenue, then to a point near Judge McClure's home, thence across Royal Avenue to a ridge in the woods, thence east to the L&N Railway track, thence south to East Florence where the trail was lost. One theory held that family members of Rollin C. McFarland might have been responsible for the murder, acting out of revenge for an incident occurring in 1898 in which James McClure, a son of Judge William McClure, had gotten into a quarrel with Rollin McFarland, editor of the Florence Standard Journal. Discussing election returns, the two men came to blows, and James McClure severely injured Ronald McFarland, fracturing his skull. This theory, however, was quickly discounted, as the McFarland family were a fine, outstanding family who it was believed would never stoop to such a sinister, cowardly deed. Judge McClure's funeral was conducted by Elder Gresham of the Christian Church, which is now the Church of Christ, and he was laid to rest in the Florence City Cemetery. McClure was survived by a wife and 10 children. At the time of his death, Judge McClure had $7,000 of life insurance, $2,000 of which was with the Fraternal Order of the Knights of Maccabees, and $5,000 of which was with the Union Central Life Insurance Company. Thursday, January 11th, 1900, a warrant was issued for the arrest of Marshall Boyle, who was apprehended near Hines in modern Zip City in North Lauderdale County by Florence Chief of Police Samuel W. Lipscomb and John Wilson. The Franklin County Times of Russellville in Franklin County, Alabama, reported in its issue of January 12th that officers were after Boyle 20 minutes behind him near Pruiton in North Lauderdale County, which is just northeast of Zip City. The paper stated that the coroner's jury believed that Boyle may have been hired to kill McClure, and that a warrant for the arrest of Boyle's employer, who was not named, had been issued. The Tuscumbia Weekly Dispatch reported in its January 18th issue that the coroner's inquest held its final session that afternoon, interviewing Boyle, who was remanded to jail to await his preliminary hearing. The Tuscumbia Weekly Dispatch reported that the sentiment of residents in Florence was that Marshall Boyle was innocent. However, the Florence Times reported in its January 19th issue that after being in session 6 days, the coroner's inquest charged Boyle with the murder. Suspicion was first leveled on him due to the fact that the morning preceding the murder, he had left a muzzleloader shotgun, the type which was believed to have killed Judge McClure, at C.W. LeMay's store on Cork Street, which Boyle later retrieved that afternoon, returning it empty the day after the murder. Further ammunition found on Boyle's person matched the type that had killed McClure. Boyle's alibi that the night of the murder he had stayed with the Mrs. F.J. Smith near the Patton School in Florence was believed to be false, it being revealed later that Boyle had possibly been, quote, at a place of questionable resort, unquote, which is a euphemism for a house of prostitution, shortly after nightfall, to which Boyle returned about a quarter of an hour before 11 o'clock. It was thought that Boyle and McClure may have quarreled over financial matters some months previous to the murder. Boyle himself was a resident of Lauderdale County, quote, connected by birth and marriage with worthy people of our county, unquote, and with 2 children. Boyle's mother lived in the northern part of the county, and according to Marshall Boyle, he worked as, quote, a trader. The case ended with Marshall Boyle being released from custody by Esquire Smith after a trial presided over by him. Messrs. Emmett O'Neill and John T. Ashcraft represented the state, and Robert T. Simpson represented Boyle. The chief testimony implicating Boyle was proved to be unreliable, and his alibi was confirmed after all. After a full and careful examination of the witnesses, including Boyle himself, the prosecution stated that they had failed to make a case and asked Judge Smith to dismiss the case, which he did. Judge J.J. Mitchell was appointed to succeed Judge McClure as probate judge of Lauderdale County. Despite a sizable $400 reward offered by the governor of Alabama and a sizable reward offered by the McClure family, McClure's murderer was never discovered. Marshall Boyle continued to assert his innocence, and as far as I know, the murder of Judge William B. McClure in January of 1900 remains unsolved to this day.